Battle of the Books information meeting. We're going to give you some instructions here before we begin. Participants can only listen. Tonight we'll have an ASL interpreter from hasa.org. To keep the interpreter on your screen and so their image will appear larger, you may pin the interpreter's image. Click on the 3 dots in the top right corner of the image and select pin. His name is Barry Samuels. And I'm also going to put the instructions in the chat. In addition to our ASL interpreter this evening, we also are having captions provided by Maryland Relay. I will put that link in the chat as well. In order to see the captions, if you need them, please open the link in a browser next to your Zoom screen to view the captions. And I put this in the chat. We will chat to communicate information with you. But if you have questions about Battle of the Books this evening, you have a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen on most of your computers. You can click in there and type your questions at any time. We will do the Q&A at the end of Battle of the Books, at the end of this information meeting. But if you have troubleshooting questions, you are welcome to put those in the chat at any time. Additionally, in the chat box, we will be putting links for you throughout the evening that pertain to Battle of the Books. And now I'm going to turn it over to Christy Lassen.
Christy, before you start, can you not screen share for a moment? Because I don't think the participants can see the interpreter. So they need to see him first to pin him, and then you should be okay.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready. Oh, okay.
Let's see.
And for everyone's benefit, we are also recording tonight's event. And Christy Lassen will tell you more about that.
I will. I see a couple of people are unable to see the pin. I think you have to go to Barry's window. So
if you go to Barry Samuel's picture and put your mouse over the image, in the top right corner, you should see 3 dots. Yep. When you click on those 3 dots, you have an option to pin his picture.
Can we maybe turn the spotlight off for a moment, because that might be preventing people from seeing him?
Yeah, some people are saying they only see me.
Okay, how about now? Okay.
So if you put your mouse over Barry's picture, I see someone can see it.
Okay.
Good. Wonderful. All right.
It's always learning experience.
Yes, it is. Thank you all for your patience as we work through this. We're all in this. We're all in this together. All right.
Make sure you're looking at the gallery view.
Yes, you're looking at, yeah. Check your view. Choose gallery view. Right, that's an important distinction, because your options are speaker, which is then you only see me or Stacy when she's talking, and choose gallery, and then you should be able to see Mr. Samuel. There he is, someone says. All right. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and start it. We have a lot to cover tonight. Thank you all for joining us. So one thing I just want to, one thing I want to clarify, because I think this has come up as a question, is this is not registration. This is the information meeting to share the information that we have with you currently about Battle of the Books. So we're going to talk about registration. We're going to talk about coach expectations, but this is not registration. Registration opens on the 23rd, which is Friday, this Friday. So there's a lot going on, and I know a lot of you are familiar with Battle of the Books. You've heard about it for years and have been looking forward to it for years, and we do too. Last year, of course, we had to this past April, we had to cancel Battle of the Books, which was a very sad thing. In fact, when Tonya Akins, our CEO, made the announcement at the press conference, as everyone's talking about what's going to be closed and what's going to be canceled, when she said Battle of the Books, there was an audible gasp. So we know how much this means to our community, and we were very sad, of course, but there was just no other way. But what we were able to do was offer a version of Battle of the Books, a very modified version in a virtual environment, and that we made that available in June to the teams who had participated. And you'll see some of those pictures as I move through the presentation tonight of how people still participated and had a good time. So now that we've got more time to plan, we're working through how to make this event more like an in-person event. We have decided in consultation with the school system that this is going to be a virtual event. No one knows what the spring looks like. And even if schools are back in a hybrid in-person kind of environment, it's highly, highly unlikely that people are going to feel comfortable enough to pack a high school gym again. We usually have about 1,000 people per site. And we certainly don't want to be known as Howard County super spreader. So the best, safest option is for us to plan for a virtual Battle of the Books. And so that's where we're going for. The other thing I'll say is that, again, because we're in this really unbelievable time and no one can predict the future. And timelines have changed. Events are being planned in much shorter time frames than before. And so we have a lot of unknowns right now. So what we're going to focus on tonight is what we know. There are things that we have not yet worked out because we're still working out platforms and that sort of thing. And honestly, some of the things that we haven't worked out, they don't matter yet. We'll have that information closer to the event, but tonight we're going to focus on registration and what the expectations are. So I'm going to share my screen. There we go. All right. Stacy, can you see the screen? Okay, good. All right. So this is a picture. This is actually Bellows Springs. They took all their teams and they did one virtual battle for the school. So you can see a lot of the teams and the coaches, and I think the principal might even be in there. Oops. All right. Oh, there we go. So just quickly, because I'm sure there are people on this call who may not know everything about Battle of the Books, that it is a partnership event jointly put on by the library system and the school system. It's an academic competition for 5th grade students. Teams include 5 students from the same school and 1 adult coach. Now, oftentimes, teams might have a main coach and an assistant coach, and that's fine. But we are limited to 5 students from the same school. Teams read a set of 11 predetermined books, and we'll talk a little bit more about those books in a minute. And then all participants receive a certificate. So, and this is another picture of one of the teams that participated last year. You can see they made matching T-shirts with their names on them and their team name. So really, what's the purpose of this? What are the goals? Well, the goals for the students are to build teamwork skills, to learn good sportsmanship skills, to read different genres. That's really important. So you might have someone who's really interested in history, but not science fiction, or maybe likes graphic novels, but doesn't like any other type of book. This exposes the students to all the different kinds of genres. So you'll see as we go through the books in a little bit that we try to reach or offer different types of books and interest levels. And then, Stacy, do you want to add anything to that because you're part of that committee? You're muted.
Sorry, I was trying to be quiet. So yes, we definitely work when creating this book list to have different genres and also different reading levels for the students, because we know not everyone is on the same reading level, because we really want to attract all 5th graders to this event. And we don't want people to feel that, oh, the books are too long or too hard or the opposite, too easy. So we try and spread it out. And we also try and have a mix of different cultures, boys, girls, all different things in here to make it a well-rounded reading list. And if I may, we're getting some questions, and just so that people don't have to wait till the very, very end. Just real fast, if you're going to have a question, we're going to try and answer them at the end, but there's one question that keeps popping up. In order to register, you must have 5 students on your team. So for registration, it is 5 students that are registered. Once the registration is complete, we'll talk about this a little bit later, it can go down to as few as 3 students, but for registration, it must start at 5 team members. And so people are asking about less than, can you have 3, can you have 4? Not for registration, you must have the 5 for registration. So we'll get to more of the questions at the end, so Christy can go through the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yep.
Thank you. So one of the goals is to increase reading comprehension, which of course you'll do as you read through the books and then as you study the books as a team. And the most important goal for kids is to have fun. This is a fun event for kids, and if we model that behavior for them, it will be fun for them. You know, we don't want to, kids have enough pressure on them already. We don't want to add to that pressure. So we want this to be a fun event to really spark that love of reading for them. So, okay, so registration. So here's what you need. For each team member, you need student name, parent phone number, and a parent email address that's checked regularly. Now, yes, you need 5 students to register for a team. We know that is probably even harder now than it has been in the past, necessarily, you know, to get 5 people when you're not seeing each other. You can, excuse me, if you don't have 5 people, you don't have 5 names by November 6th, yeah, November 6th, you can put placeholders in, and then you can update later. And we'll talk about deadlines in a little bit, but at least you need to have some names, some placeholders, so that we know you're going to have 5 teams. But you have to have, because you have to have 3 to compete, but you have to have 5 to register. For each coach, we need your coach name, your phone number, an email address that's checked regularly, and a mailing address. Now the emails are very important because we send a lot of information by email, obviously, right now. We'll post information to the website as well, but it's the email that we're going to be in contact with you, and you're responsible as a coach for communicating with the parents as well. You need a team name. Again, this can be a placeholder for right now. You've got until February 8th to come up with your final name, but you need some sort of a team name, and then you need a school name. We talked about 5 team members. We do not have alternates. And when you get to the virtual battle, you have to have at least 3. That's your minimum number of students. Each team will receive 1 set of books courtesy of our sponsors. This is another picture from last year. It looks like they all got together, but it's actually 4 pictures spliced together. So they were very creative in that way. And it looks like they were the Dog Man team. All right, coaches. What we ask of you is that you help build team spirit and encourage good sportsmanship. That you set up regular meetings with your team. And how you do that is completely up to you. You're going to need to talk to your parents and the students to find out what their comfort levels are. We know that being outside is much safer than being inside. And if you're inside, you need to wear masks. So you decide, you know, when the weather is nice, you sit out on someone's yard, or you go to a park or something. Do you meet by Zoom? That's up to you. It's between the coach and the parents about comfort levels and safety levels. All right. We encourage you to encourage and reward your students for reading their books and doing, preparing for themselves for the battle. As I said earlier, we rely on you to convey information from us to the parents, because there's a lot of information now about how the battle will happen, when it will happen, where it will happen. Like, we'll send you the Zoom link for you to send on. And then we also will send you emails asking you to reply back by certain dates. So again, that's why we need an email address that you check regularly. How does it work? The moderator asks a question. The battle includes at least one question about each book, and they can cover things like quotes, something that happened in the book, an illustration in the book or on the cover. So everything is fair game. We have the list of books and their ISBN numbers. If you use books outside of the set that you're given, make sure you've got exactly the books that we've given you, because anything in that book is. Teams will have 30 minutes to discuss their answer and then submit their answer virtually. Now, again, I can't get into exactly how this is going to work online because we don't know yet. I'll just be really honest. We haven't worked that out yet, but we've got time to figure it out, and we will. But that we're trying to, again, mimic the battle as much as we can. So we provide answer sheets. They circle the answer. They've got 30 seconds to discuss their answer, and then how we submit it. So that's the basics. Okay, titles. Stacy, are there any, before I go to the titles, actually, Stacy, are there other questions?
Yes, actually, let's go through some of these questions because there are a lot of the same. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the question out loud so the captioner can hear it and caption it. So do the kids register individually or does the coach do that for the team? Thanks. The coach does the registration.
Yes.
So it's not each child individually registering, it is the coach doing the registration. Do we have to read all of the books? Each student, each
Yes.
team member does not necessarily need to read all the books. That is something that you can discuss with your team. Some teams have everybody read all the books. Some teams have people who will each be in charge of certain books and do it that way. So that's a team.
Right, and I was nodding my head yes to that question because every team has to read all the books.
Yes.
But yeah, how they decide to split that up is up to them. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this is only for 5th grade students. That is correct. This is something, the way we do it here in Howard County, it is just for 5th grade students.
Mm-hmm.
So next question, did I misunderstand? Only 5 students from each school are allowed to participate. That is a misunderstanding. It's not 5 students from each school. It's 5 students per team. You can have as many teams as your school as you want from your school, as long as each team has 5 students. So it is not 5 per school. It is 5 per team.
But every team, all the students per team have to be from the same school.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is the battle only in school or even in this library? Actually, this year the battle is going to be virtual, so it'll be on a virtual platform, something like Zoom. But that's one of the details we're still working out. So the school and the library, the school system and library system sponsor it together, but it's going to be virtual.
And usually, sorry, I was just gonna say, usually the battles happen in a high school gymnasium. But yeah, we'll definitely be virtual this year.
Okay. I've got one from a media specialist. And we'll check in with this because I know there's a bunch of media specialists here. Welcome. Thank you guys for coming. It said that they were told that the teams could register this year with less than 5. I'm not sure about that because that sounds like a misunderstanding. What we want to do is have the 5 people register, and we can talk with you, and we'll talk to Melissa Daggett about how you can do placeholders if needed. Are there rules to the team name? Can the name be of the team be a book title? Yes, there are rules to the team name. No, the name of the team cannot be a book title. We have in the coaches handbook, which we'll be getting ready before the coaches meeting in the middle of November. It will have some guidelines. Right now, you're going to have a time frame between the registration and then the final deadline for getting all of your information in. So you can put in a placeholder team name for right now. Like you could say Hollyfield Station Team 2 or something, and then change it when it gets closer. So that's okay. But no, you cannot have the book title in there. Do we choose a coach or get assigned a coach? You would choose a coach. So I know I think we have some students in here. So students, you're going to ask a coach. So it might be, I'm not sure if if teachers or media specialists are available. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. You can have a parent be a coach. We do say that the coach needs to be an adult. So the coach needs to be at least 18 years old. But you would choose a coach. If you have 5, can you still have a placeholder? No, you cannot have a placeholder because 5 is the limit. If you have 5 and somebody drops out, like I said, there is that second final deadline where you'll have a chance to drop somebody and replace them with somebody. Can you have more than one team of 5 students from each school? Yes, absolutely. You can have as many teams from each school as you have team members. Does a student have to go to a Howard County school, or could it be a private school but live in Howard County? The answer to that, and I'm watching Christy for her to nod, if I make sure I'm correct, yes. We have definitely had private schools, and we've also had homeschools. Like a homeschool consortium have a team.
Homeschool associations, right?
Thank you, association. For the private school, all the students do need to go to that private school. So if you're a private school student, you can't join another elementary school. You have to be on a team with that private school. How many teams per school allowed?
And yes, you do need to live in Howard County.
Yes, thank you. How many teams per school is allowed? As many as the school wants to send us. We love having as many teams, especially now that we're virtual. We don't have to worry about gym floor space. As many teams as you want to send. How many books? This year we have 11 books, and we can put a link in the chat for where you can find those books in our catalog. Each team, as Christy had mentioned, will be getting 1 set of books to share amongst your team. This is about the school media specialist told the students they could have teams of only 3 kids. We're going to look into that, but you're going to be looking for teams of 5. Will everyone have to read all the books? Again, that is up to your team how you do that. Amongst your team members, you're going to have to cover all of the books, but not necessarily. Is it okay if there's no coach and each person has a different role? No, you definitely need an adult coach there because you're going to need somebody who is gathering the information and sharing the information with with the students and the parents. And honestly, we really need just 1 point person for each team, because if you're asking if all of the parents can kind of work together, that's going to be really hard because we need to send the information to 1 person and that person disseminates the information. That being said, you can have 1 coach on record, but the parents also help out. Like you can help out with the meetings and that kind of stuff as well. Is there a list of titles, authors somewhere so we don't have to go through the PowerPoint for them? Yes, it's a couple different places and we'll put the links in chat, but the library's website, hclibrary.org/Battle of the Books, all one word together, that will take you to the main page for Battle of the Books, and there should be a PDF there. Also, the place where you registered in Library Market, there's attachments to the information for tonight's meeting, and you can download it there as well. Oh wait, I just did that one. Are there practice sample questions to use in meetings beforehand? No, you can create your own. What people have done before is they've met up with other teams and they've kind of shared information, and some teams will actually have, they'll have the team members write questions. Like if everybody's in charge of a book, they'll write questions for that book, and then you can practice answering the questions like that. We do have samples of types of questions that you can look at, and those are available on our website. Are all the answers to the questions the title of the book? Yes, it's the title of the book and the author's name. That will always be the answer to the questions. Can you elaborate on how teams need to answer the questions? You said there's a form where they'll have to circle a response after discussing for 30 seconds. So that's how we did it when we were live in person. And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't think we can elaborate on that at this moment, because this is where we're still deciding on what's going on. This meeting is to give you general information about what you need to know before you register. In the middle of November, we will have a coaches meeting for the coaches for all the teams that are registered. And hopefully by then we should be able to give you more details on how to answer the questions. How are we going to get the books? Well, they have to be picked up from the library. Yes, they're going to be picked up from the library. It's going to be somewhat like the contactless pickup. And we can talk about that in a little bit. But basically they'll be picked up from the Miller Library, and you'll get a bag of books that will be for your team.
Stacy,
Yes.
some of these questions we're going to answer later as we go through. I'm
Okay.
wondering, why don't we go through the rest of this PowerPoint? We'll go through the dates, because I think that will answer some of these questions.
Yes.
And then we can
Okay.
go through, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
And this is, I just want to remind everyone to please put your questions in the Q&A. It's much easier for us to keep track of them. They get lost in the chat. We're going to save the chat for information that we need to share with you, unless it's a troubleshooting question. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's go through the title. So you can see the list of books, and then we will go through all the dates, and then we'll go through the rest of the questions that I noticed there were a lot of repeat questions. So I dismissed some of those because we'd already answered those, but we'll continue to go through that. Okay, so the first book on the list is The Undefeated by Kwame Alexander and Kadir Nelson. Each slide, I just wanted to point out, has the book cover, and then over here on the right side is actually a YouTube link. So I'm not going to go through everyone right now because it would take a while, but you can do that on your own. This will be posted to the website. So The Undefeated is an ode to inspiring African-American heroes in the fields of sports, the art, and political activism, as well as everyday champions whose very survival exemplifies success. So that's a cool book coming up. All right, hang on. There we go. All right, our next title, How to Build a Museum, the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. So this beautiful book relates the story of the creation of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture, covering 100 years of hoping, planning, constructing the building, and assembling its collections. And if you've not yet been, you should go as soon as it opens back up, because it's really incredible. Superstar by Mandy Davis. Lester loves two things, science and homeschooled life with his devoted mother. So it's a shock when mom announces that Lester will be attending 5th grade in public school because she is going back to work full time. The pair have been especially close since the tragic mission-related death of Lester's astronaut father 5 years earlier. Unresolved grief still haunts the family. The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Told in alternating points of view from Chess, Emma, and Finn Greystone, this is a new page-turning adventure that examines assumptions about identity, family, and home from the master of the middle grade suspense. Song for a Whale by Lynn Kelly. 12-year-old Iris and her grandmother, both deaf, drive from Texas to Alaska armed with Iris's plan to help Blue 55, a whale unable to communicate with other whales. The Season of Sticks Malone by Kekla Magoon. It's summertime and the living is easy. At least it was before narrator Caleb and his older brother Bobby Jean make a bad deal with their nemesis Corey, leading to 4 long weeks of morning chores as punishment. It looks like things are going nowhere fast until they meet Sticks Malone, a mysterious, lanky, smooth-talking teenager who adds excitement to the brothers' otherwise humdrum summer. Merci Suarez Changes Gears by Meg Medina. Or not Mercy. Mercy Suarez knows that 6th grade would be different. Knew that 6th grade would be different, but she had no idea just how different. For starters, Mercy has never been like the other kids at her private school in Florida because she and her older brother Raleigh are scholarship students. They don't have a big house or a fancy boat, and they have to do extra community service to make up for their free tuition. So when bossy Edna Santos sets her sights on a new boy who happens to be Mercy's school-assigned sunshine buddy, Mercy becomes the target of Edna's jealousy. Strange Birds, A Field Guide to Ruffling Feathers by Cecilia C. After Ophelia, Astor, Cat, and Lane fail to persuade a local girls club to change an outdated tradition, they form an alternative group that shakes up their sleepy Florida town. Includes tips for beginning birders, characteristics of crystals, a cookie recipe, tips for aspiring journalists, directions for creating badges, and facts about the killing of birds for fashion. Ghost by Jason Reynolds. Castle Ghost Cranshaw has been running for 3 years, ever since the night his father shot a gun at him and his mother. When he gets recruited by a local track coach for a championship team, they strike a deal. If Ghost can stop getting into fights at school, he can run for the Defenders. But one altercation and he's gone. Despite Ghost's best intentions, everyone always has something to say about his raggedy shoes, homemade haircut, ratty clothes, or his neighborhood, and he doesn't last 24 hours without a brawl. Will Coach and his mom give him another chance to be part of something bigger than himself? Or is he simply destined to explode? The OK Witch by Emma Steinkellner. Magic is harder than it looks. 13-year-old Moth Hush loves all things witchy, but she's about to discover that witches aren't just the stuff of movies, books, and spooky stories. When some 8th grade bullies try to ruin her Halloween, something really strange happens. It turns out that Founders Bluff, Massachusetts has a centuries-old history of witch drama. And surprise, Moth's family is at the center of it all. When Moth's new powers show up, things get totally out of control. She meets a talking cat, falls into an enchanted diary, and unlocks a hidden witch world. Secrets surface from generations past as Moth unravels the complicated legacy at the heart of her town, her family, and herself. I'm just giving y'all teasers. I'm not reading the whole thing, as you've noticed. All right, Front Desk by Kelly Yang. Mia Tang has a lot of secrets. Number 1, she lives in a motel, not a big house. Every day while her immigrant parents clean the rooms, 10-year-old Mia manages the front desk of the Cala Vista Motel and tends to its guests. Number 2, her parents hide immigrants. And if the mean motel owner, Mr. Yao, finds out they've been letting them stay in the empty rooms for free, the Tangs will be doomed. Number 3, she wants to be a writer, but how can she when her mom thinks she should stick to math because English is not her first language? You can keep reading on your own. Oh, there we go. All right. So those are your 2021 Battle of the Book titles. They look really, really great. I'm excited.
They are really, really great.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the important dates. So registration opens at hclibrary.org/Battle of the Books on Friday, October 23rd. It runs through November 6th. Registration closes on the 6th or when capacity is reached, whichever one comes first. Now, I don't anticipate that we're going to get to a capacity issue, but we have said this for the last 2 years, and we have not had to turn anyone away. but you've got a 2-week window here to find your 5 students who need to be registered, to find your coach, make up a team name, even if it's just a placeholder, and register. November 16th, so about a month from now, at 7 o'clock, we're going to do a mandatory coach meeting via Zoom again. So by that point, we will have more information. We probably won't even have all the information. I will be honest with you. We probably won't have all the information yet at that point, but we will share what we know at that point. Then we're going to do contactless pickup of the book sets for each team, November 17th from 11 to 1, November 19th from 5 to 7, and November 21st from 11 to 1. So we will share that information about how that's going to work at that coach meeting. So every team will get their set of books at that point. February 8th are when permission forms are due, and when that's also the deadline to change your team name and give us your final list of students. So again, we'll have more information about that at the November meeting. In March, date to be announced, is when we will do a mandatory logistics meeting via Zoom. And then April 16th is a virtual Battle of the Books. Now, I saw one question that came through about, is there any chance that we will revisit whether this happens virtually or in person? And I will say no. And the reason is that when we do this in person, it takes months of planning. We usually have 6 sites of more than 300 teams total. This isn't something that we just throw together in a matter of weeks. So this will be virtual. Again, even if things are looking better and school is back in a hybrid model, I honestly can't believe that anyone is going to be willing to come sit in a gym with 1,000 other people. I just don't see that happening. And again, we have no desire to be a super spreader because it only takes one person. So this will be a virtual Battle of the Books. We will do our very best to make it as much like an in-person battle as we can, but it will be virtual. So, and throughout this entire process, we're going to ask for your patience, your understanding, and your flexibility, because we're all dealing with that as well. So we are all doing the best we can. We will answer the questions when we have answers, as we have answers to them. But just know that, you know, we're operating in a very different environment. But we do want to make this as good of an event for our kids as we can. I think that might be my last. Oh no, very important. We want to recognize our sponsors. So the Josephine B. Scheffenacher Education Trust is our presenting sponsors. The Friends and Foundation of Howard County Library System, Howard County Public School System, and the Yolanda and Frank Bruno Family Fund are our sponsors as well. So we want to be sure and thank them for making this possible. Giving a set of books to every team is a big expense, but we firmly believe that that's important because we want to make sure that everyone who wants to participate can participate. I think that is my last slide. Yep. So there's the link, htlibrary.org/Battle of the Books. And I think we're going to put that in chat as well.
Yes,
Okay.
I think it's already in chat.
Okay, good. All right. So stop sharing my screen. All right. Should we go? Let's go through some more questions here. You want to, we can alternate here, Stacy? There's a lot of questions here.
There's a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
I went through and dismissed ones we've answered already, but we'll go through. I guess if you want to go back and forth, Christy?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that. So this first one, what type of prizes? I don't know. Generally, our prizes have been, we get a trophy to the school of the winning teams, and the teams themselves who had the best overall scores had a medal. And then for the best team name, team spirit, and all that, we gave certificates. So we are still working that out. So we will let you know when we know.
Can we meet virtually with our teams? Absolutely. That's a really good way to meet, and you know, especially as the weather grows colder and you can't really be outside, that's a good way to meet once, while it's still nice out, or once it warms up. If you want to meet in somebody's backyard, something like that, feel free, but absolutely virtually is fine.
Mhm. Should you have a team leader in your 5-person team? That's up to you. You will have a coach, so that's kind of your team leader.
Okay, how do we pass the books around to our team members? So that really depends, that's up to you. You can find out, you could do porch drop-offs, and that way you don't have to worry about meeting in person. If you do at some point meet in person, you can pass them around there. But porch drop-offs, I think, is probably your best bet.
Is the question format multiple choice? Yeah.
No.
No.
No. No, we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's usually the short answer. So,
Yeah.
but that's, I think, in the still to be determined category.
Yeah, as is the next question. Will there be scoring? Maybe. We'll get back to you on that one. Yeah, so about the next question. We'll get back to you on that one. How is this a battle? Well, remember, it's a, you know, we've talked a little bit about that. This is still an academic event. As I said, we want to keep this as close to possible, as close to the original event as we can, but some things might be different.
And something that we've always said in these meetings that I'm going to reiterate is the purpose of this isn't to have a winner. The purpose of this is, number one, to have fun, to get kids, to fifth graders excited about reading the books, perhaps reading in genres or types of books that they wouldn't necessarily read before. Some groups like even continued on with their own book club afterwards. Also to teamwork. There's a lot of teamwork involved in this. So it's more than being a winning first place. There are a lot of things that the teams and the students get out of this that is not getting that trophy or anything like that. So please keep that in mind, especially now where the students don't need the added pressure of something else like this. We wanted this event to keep going because it's become almost an institution here in Howard County. But the number one thing is we want them to have fun. We want them to have the experience, and we want them to have fun with it. So that is really the most important thing.
And I'll add to that, if you are getting stressed out, if your students are getting stressed out, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest about that. It's about having fun.
Absolutely. Do you get to keep the books until the event? Yes, you actually get to keep the books after the event. So thanks to our generous sponsors, once the battle is done, your team gets to keep the books. You can let everybody pick their favorite book, divide them up, donate them, give them to a little library. Don't give them back to us. We have copies already. So it is up to you what you would like to do with those.
Does one team get picked from each school for the finals? There aren't finals. So usually the way it works is that every school, all the teams from one school go to one location, and we have one overall winner for each location. So yeah, there aren't any finals.
Okay. Are ebooks for Bob titles this year available to borrow? Yes, we have tried to order ebooks and e-audiobooks, as well as having books, the print books and books on CD in our collection as well. So yes, now some might not have an ebook, and if there's no ebook available, we can't create one. So we've done the best that we can for that.
We have an ALS student who is very excited about participating. There's a question about accommodations. Yes, I don't think it's in registration, but there is a point at which we will ask if there are any accommodations that need to be made, and we will do our very best to, I think actually we will do everything we can to meet that accommodation.
And I believe it is in the registration form, because some people know right away, some people find out later. So if you know right away, the sooner you tell us, the sooner we can get things on track. If you find out later because we've had other accommodations that needed to be done, you can send an email to the Bob email. It's bob@hclibrary.org, and let us know, and we'll make sure to take care of that. Can a team name have been used in past years? Sure. The only thing you can't do is we can't have the same team name this year. So when your team gets together to create your team name, you want to have a backup plan as well. So that way we don't have more than one Nerdy Birdies or whatever. It's funny, every year there's a wave of a popular type of name, but have a backup plan because we can't have duplicates. This year, we go by date and time of registration. So the first team that picks that name is the one that gets to keep it. And if somebody else comes up with it, then we'll send you an email and ask you to come up with a backup plan.
How can we borrow books? Are those available from school or online only? So I think we've answered that one already. You can, if the library has them, you can borrow them from us. If your media specialist, your media center at school has them, and they're lending out books. I know our media middle school media center is doing that. You can borrow from them.
Yeah, that's a good question to check in with your media specialist, because they probably will be able to do that as well. The coaches should read the books as well, correct? Yes, if you can, it would be really helpful to read the books so you know what your team is talking about. You can even divide it up amongst the parents if that's helpful to you, because that can be daunting as well.
Will we need to make posters? I don't know yet.
The best place to purchase books, that's hard for me to answer. I will say that most people go to, I hate to say Amazon, but that's what they do. We've actually changed their metrics or whatever, because if you buy this book, other people bought it and it's the entire Bob list. I know in the past, the Barnes & Noble at Longgate has, we've sent them a copy of the list, and they have copies available as well. If you're going to go through the trouble of purchasing a book, please take a look at the book list, because it has the ISBN. And if you're going to spend the money, you might as well spend it on a copy of the book that we're going to be using to write the questions. So, but you also don't feel that you have to buy books, because we're giving every team a set, and we have copies available at the library.
What if you don't know how to use Zoom? That's a great question. And I think that's a great question for you to work out with your team, with your coach, I mean. If this is a coach asking that question, you can send us an email and we can hopefully walk you through that.
When will we know the final format of the battle? That's an excellent question, and we don't actually have the answer to that. I think we'll know a little bit more by the November meeting, and for sure by the March meeting.
Yeah, definitely by the March meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will we be getting an overall playbook, how-to logistics at some point here to ensure we're doing everything correctly? Yes. I mean, and really, the thing that you need to be most concerned about doing correctly is getting your teams together for registration, and then making sure you come to the November meeting, that you pick up your books, and that you start working with your students. All the rest is gravy. So, but we will have that playbook for you.
Okay. Does our school give us our books from the school, or do we have to get it ourselves? Yes, we'll have more information at the November meeting, but we will have a pickup at the Miller Library. There's 3 different days and times where you'll be able to pick up your bag of books, and the coach of your team will come to pick up your team's books, so that way you'll have them.
I don't see the PDF of the books on the Bob page on our website. Where is it? Thanks. Okay, so if it's not there now, it will be tomorrow.
Okay. Media specialists will also have details of the titles and are a good reference for Bob teams. And that question was posted by Geraldine Palin, actual media specialist, so she should know. So
Yep.
we do keep them in the loop. So if you have questions, you can either ask us or please contact your media specialist.
I'm confused by what is meant by all the answer to the questions or the title of the book. Can you elaborate on that? Yes. So the questions might be like, in which book did this character say this? And the answer is the title of the book and the author of the book. So that's what we mean by that. Every answer to, or the answers to every question are the title and the author.
Okay. Do teams get one set of all the books, or does each participant get their own? It's one set of books per team. So you share the books amongst your team.
Who is the coach for Swansfield? Well, that's a good question, because schools don't have their own coaches. You have to find your coach. So again, you can ask a teacher, you can ask your media specialist, you can ask a parent, you can ask a scout leader, any adult over the age of 18 that is known to you and your teammates.
When do you get the books? We gave the dates already, but it's mid-November. It's the week of November 16th. And those dates are going to, if they're not there already, are on the website as well.
So not all books are novels? No, that is correct. Not all books are novels. As we went through the list, you can see that there are all different kinds of books.
Does each team have an assistant coach? That is up to you. It is not required. We only really require one coach, but you are certainly welcome to have an assistant coach as well. We can only have 2 people on record, but if other parents want to help out, that is also very welcome and encouraged.
Mm-hmm. Do students need to know both authors if the book has multiple authors?
So I'm going to throw it, I'm going to throw in my answer. So on the book list, and actually for the Undefeated, I think it's an author and an illustrator. On the book list, there is one author listed, and that is the author that we are using. So we are not, you don't have to put multiple authors. It'll just be that first author. So that book list is your reference sheet. So that way you'll know who the author's name is that you would need to study for that.
Are any of these books scary? I haven't read the books. They didn't look scary to me, but I'm not a 5th grader.
The Haddix book is the only one I think might be, but I don't think it is. That's one of the few that I have not read, but the other ones are not scary. And I will say this is not the year where every book makes you cry, because we had one year where I think I read 5 books and cried through 5 books. So you don't have to worry about that.
Can you switch the coach after registering? Yes.
What is the time on April 16th for the event? I believe, what time did we say it was going to start? Maybe
it's in the evening.
6? It's in the evening.
Yeah.
We're trying to, we'll give you a final answer soon, but we're trying to balance the fact that people do have to get home from work and also would like to eat something too. So we'll have that. We'll have that, I would think, by the November meeting.
Can assistant coaches or other parents attend the virtual coaches meeting? Yes.
We don't have to set up chairs, so as many people who want to come, you would just need to register for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Which branch of library do we pick the books up from? That it would be the Miller branch. So we will have everything in one of our meeting rooms, and we will meet you outside. It'll be kind of similar to the contactless pickup for books that you have on hold, but you will not be going into the lobby. You will be going to one of the side doors, and we'll have signs for you there.
Yeah. Is there a cost to register? No, there is not. This is a free event courtesy of our sponsors.
Should we do Zoom or Google meetings with our team to discuss things about every week? That is up to you. If you're asking about one platform over the other, Zoom versus Google, that's totally up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with. You may or may not want to meet every single week. You might want to have 1 or 2 meetings to get things started and then give people deadlines because like you might not meet every week at the beginning because that's just too much and it's going to take them longer to actually read the books as well. So, but things like that, that is totally up to you and your team.
Did I miss the answer to my ALS question? Yes, we will make accommodations if people let us know that accommodations are needed.
Can you share this slideshow? Actually, this meeting is being recorded, so you'll be able to see the slideshow in the recording.
Will you be able to provide the books to every team, or is it first come, first serve? Every team gets a set of books.
Okay, how do we submit our summaries and how do you know that we read the books? So you don't actually have to write a summary of the book. I'm not entirely sure what that question means. We are trusting you to read the books. So you don't have to submit this is not school in that you have to write a report or some kind of paragraph about each book that you read. You are reading the book and then just practicing with your team. So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. Can the team members meet in person while maintaining social distance or in accordance with the prevailing county state health guidelines? So as I mentioned earlier, if your team feels safe, this is purely a team decision. If your team feels safe meeting in person, you may do that while adhering to social distancing guidelines. If you are inside, you should be wearing masks. If you're outside and dressed for the weather, you still need to adhere to those guidelines, but that is purely a team decision.
Okay, and we're running close to time and still have almost 90 questions, so we're going to try and go faster. Can we have all 11 books online so we don't have to go out past the books as the climate will be colder? We are giving you physical copies of the books. You can, as a team, make decisions about the online copies of the books or not. We are not purchasing online copies to give out to each team. We just can't afford to do that. And not all the books are even available online. So as a team, you can figure out how you would like to share the books, or if you want to request online copies as well.
And I just wanted to make a note that I'm checking with a local Howard County bookseller to see if they want to be an avenue for you if you're interested in purchasing your own copies. And we will add that to the Battle of the Books page if that becomes available.
Right. Okay, will all teams be doing the battle all together virtually? Before, certain teams were grouped in different schools. No, I think we will still have, so we had 6 physical sites before, we will have 5 or 6 virtual sites this time.
Yes. How many questions are asked and how long is the event? So this is a completely different animal than what we've done before, so it will be hard to predict. In the past, we've done 50 questions. It might be fewer than 50. It will not be more than 50 questions. So if you want to keep that in mind, in the past, we've done 4 rounds of 12 to 13 questions in each round. So you can use that as a guideline, but we can't actually predict for sure just yet.
Right. All right. Oh, someone commented the Battle of the Books are in each school's Mackenvia ebook collection. So there you go.
Yep.
What is the, oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. What is the requirement for the March event? The dates posted online conflict with the family event, wondering if it is a make or break. It will not necessarily be a make or break. What we'll do is more than likely we'll have one meeting like this meeting. And if you can't make it, you'll be able to watch a recording of it.
Do you have any videos of prior competitions so we can get a sense of the questions that will be asked? We do have videos of prior events, and they're on our YouTube channel. We can put a link in that chat for that.
Okay. If you are not allowed to check out library books at the Howard County Library System, or what if? So you can check in with your media center because they should have copies as well. And then the ebook version, you should be able to get from your media center. So check in with your media specialist about that.
And there was a second part to that I dismissed. It was due to COVID. So I just want to make sure people are aware that you can borrow books from the library.
Yeah.
So if you go online and you reserve a book, when you get a notice that your book is in, then you make an appointment for contactless pickup. So you can borrow books from the library. We are available for that. No question, but I want to commend HT Library for making this happen, whatever they may look like. Thank you. Thank you for that compliment. Go ahead.
Oh, when we share the books, do you think each home should quarantine the books? If so, for how long? Because we quarantine items at the library for a week. But the reason it's a week is because we have so many different types of material, and the material that all of the books are paper. So that's going to, I think that is a shorter quarantine time, and I'm not going to pretend to remember what that actual time is off the top of my head, but maybe that's something we can look at for the November.
Yeah. And again, it comes down to your comfort level as well. Yeah. Do we need a costume for the virtual Battle of the Books? We'll let you know in November.
Okay. The books listed on the Bob website are books for 2020, not the ones Mrs. Lassen presented. When will be updated? It was supposed to be already updated, so if it is not, we will take care of that tomorrow.
Right. Questions will be like they have been in years past? Yes, in terms of types of questions, yes.
What if you don't finish all the books? Hopefully you've divided the books, the reading of the books up amongst your team members. So if you personally don't finish, someone else on your team has.
Sorry, I was just going through.
Okay.
There's a nice compliment. Thank you again. Will the students have to answer the questions verbally even during the battle? One of our students is nervous about speaking in front of people. Well, remember so you're doing this virtually. And again, I don't know what that's going to look like. So we will have to get back to you about that.
And I will say, when we've done it in person, there was somebody who was like the secretary, the person in charge of writing. So if it turns out that you are speaking, I'm pretty sure that you would be able to have somebody who is comfortable speaking take on that role. Will the winner be announced to the school? Yes, we will announce the winners, so you will know that.
On the day of the contest, can the team members meet in person while maintaining social distance or in accordance? Again, that is up to the team, how you decide to do that. There were some teams when we did the virtual battle in June who did get together in person. I think, yeah, there were some. So again, it depends on the conditions of the time and the comfort level of the team. Okay.
How do we go about accessing these ebooks or e-audiobooks? You can request them through the library. We have several platforms. We have Libby, which is also Overdrive. That has most of them. We also have Cloud Library is another way that you can get ebooks. Also, the school system has the Mac and VIA, and this ties into the next question. It looks like Superstar is the only one that does not have an ebook at Mac and VIA, sorry. So,
does everyone? Oh, we answered that question. What was the team name? Which won the best team name last year? I don't remember. And I remember, like, the awards and prizes were given out at each site. During our virtual battle in June, we did not do best team. We didn't do any of those prizes. So,
okay, are the team scores based on how close our team name is to the books reading, or based on creativity alone? Again, this is a question that I'm not sure how to answer yet, because we're not sure if any of these extra prizes are going to be given. But I will say it's usually up to the judge, and it's also usually creativity as far as the team names go.
Is there a link to the permission slips? The Bob link says they need to be returned, but I don't see the link for the form. You don't get those in, oh, wait a minute. They will be up during registration.
They're up after registration. Yeah, they're not up right away.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
there'll be
Yeah.
an email sent out about when those forms are available.
Yeah.
Do you need to read the book multiple times? That is totally up to teams and team members. Some people are very good at remembering everything that they read. Some people like to read things multiple times. That is a personal preference.
Oh, you want to read that one?
I get the books via thriftbooks.com. It's a great site. That is fine, but please keep in mind that if it is a book that the ISBN does not match, there might be questions about pictures or covers or something like that that will be different than the copy that you got. So you're welcome to purchase books from wherever you want, but just keep that in mind.
And that goes along with the next question too. If we borrow a digital copy from the school library, will be the correct one. You have to check the ISBN.
Okay, how often should teams be meeting? That is again up to the team. Each team, all teams do different things, whatever you're comfortable with.
Will this be recorded and put on the website? Yes.
Other than the sets given to each team, approximately how many other copies of the books in the Howard County Libraries for people to borrow? I'm number 30 on the waiting list for most of the Bob books. How long does it take me to get the books? I can't answer that off the top of my head because I don't know how many copies we have for each book. We don't necessarily have the same number of copies for all of the books. The other thing is, right now, the library is fine free. Actually, forevermore, the library is fine free, so you don't have to worry about fines. But please, please, please be conscious of the fact that people are waiting for this book. And in addition to, in the past, when you returned a book, it would go immediately to the next person. That is not the case anymore. When you return a book, it has to wait for another 7 days for quarantine. So please be conscious of that fact and be a good, I can't think of the right word, be a good friend and realize how you would feel if you were on the other end waiting for that book. So you really want to return your books on time because people do have to wait for that extra 7 days. So unfortunately, it is going to take longer to go through these waiting lists.
Yep. Is it feasible for students to Zoom separately, or is it important for students to confer before answering? That's a really good question. Yeah, we'll have, again, these are things we have to figure out. So I don't have an answer for that right now.
And I think it would depend on what platform we use to be able to answer that, and which we don't know. Can the coach help answer the questions? No.
Next. Do we get to know the questions ahead? Nope.
Will the schools get extra copies of the books? I can't answer that, but the media specialists were given the list with the ISBNs ahead of time. So it was up to them if they're going to purchase extra copies of the books. Because of that website, is it the Mac and Via? I think as a system, they decided on getting those. And so the eBooks, I know they do have that. So that was something they're very excited about.
All right, we're down to 30. Who will be the point of contact for Manor Woods, or will it be one person for all the school? I think we answered this earlier. So there is no one point of contact at each school because it's very team-based. So if you need help, maybe finding people to be on a team, your media specialist is a good person to contact.
I assume the person who has selected the books would have read all the books to make sure they were 5th grade appropriate. So it was a committee that selected the books. The one person who did read all of the books is the person who is in charge of all of the media specialists in the county. So she did read all of the books to make sure that they were 5th grade appropriate, and yes, they are.
Someone, I just am skipping ahead, someone asked, when will this end? When we get through all the questions, which we have 26 more to go, if you need to hop off, that's fine. This will be recorded and on the website, and you can watch it again. Are there t-shirts? There are t-shirts if your team decides to have t-shirts, but we do not provide them.
How are the books selected? We've talked about this a couple times, but there is a group of the children's librarians and from the school system media specialists who picked out books, and we tried to cover genres, a wide variety of genres, reading levels, etc., to get for coverage.
Someone just said, is this meeting over? Not yet.
Yeah.
Where's the link to attend the coaches meeting? Did you already share it? No, we have not. It will be in our online calendar. So if you go to classes and events and you look up the November date, it will be there.
I have to double check. I have to see
Yeah.
because we are still changing the date. So
Okay.
I should be able to have it up this week because I'm pretty sure we have the Zoom meeting ready already for that. So look for it. We'll say next week, look for it next week. But you're not going to be able to register for the meeting until about maybe 2 weeks before. Usually it's about 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
So, or we might make it available as soon, but just make sure to put it on your calendar because people register right away and then forget. So you want to do that.
Okay.
What if we only have 3 out of 4 people on the team by the specified date? Can we still participate? So as long as you have, on the day of the battle, as long as you have at least 3 people, yes, you can participate.
Go in the book and talk about them. Yes, absolutely you do. When your team meets, after you get your set of books, you should talk about what happened in the book so that everyone has a good understanding of, if not everyone in the team reads every book, if you decide that, some people are going to be, focus on certain books, you still want everyone to have a basic understanding in case maybe someone gets sick and they can't do it that night, that everyone knows something about all the books.
I would like to see the slides with the attached YouTube video that won't be shown on the recorded version. Is it possible to see? I didn't think about that.
We'll put,
we can put
we'll put the PowerPoint up and then we'll put the link to the YouTube so you can decide which one you want to watch.
Okay, there you go. What is your YouTube channel? I believe we can put it in chat, but there's also a link on our website. And again, if that's not there now, it will be by the end of the week.
Yeah, actually, if you go to our website and at the bottom of the page, bottom of the home page, there's the YouTube link there. Thank you for the nice note. In the past, I've seen, we have 2 of these, same questions. Pics of each team and they have a costume and poster and props. So how does that tie in with the Battle of the Books? Can you please elaborate on the costume and poster? We will in November.
Okay.
We will talk more about that then. It's the same question.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's
same
a third
question
person.
again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this meeting over? Not yet, but we're down to 16. Where can we find the recorded meeting today? Thanks. So we are going to be busy little bees working on the transcript to get everything together. So I would say if not by tomorrow, then by, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Wednesday, then by Thursday, it should be up and we'll have
by the end of the week, let's say.
Yeah, by the end of the week, that we'll cover our bases by the end of the week. And there should be a link, I believe, on the Bob page, on our web page. And then also if you go directly to our YouTube channel, there should be a playlist for Battle of the Books.
Yeah, which is also where you can find videos from previous Battle of the Books.
Yes.
Can you share some sample questions? We will in November.
Let's see, Howard County Library System says patron cannot place any more holds, already has maximum holds placed when I try to request one book, which only has 3 on hold on request, while other books have 20. That means the maximum holds placed is not on the book, that is on the customer. So that means you have the maximum number of holds. And I think the maximum number of holds is 99 holds at a time. So it might be that you have too many holds to place anymore. So it's not on the actual item, it's how many you as a customer have. If that's a problem, what you might want to do is Like if you're I don't know who's asking this question. So if you're the parent, maybe if your child has a card, you could put them on the child's card.
Oops. How do we get the costumes? Do we make it or buy it? If we do costumes, that is up to you. Well, here's what we say is that our judges look for creativity. So we're not looking for the best costume you can buy. What we're looking for is the best costume created, designed, made by the students. So we want, again, this is student led. So, yeah.
Yes, student led. That's the probably most important part of that as far as costume design and all of those things. Please answer my question asked several times, but where's the form? If you're talking about the registration form, the reason you can't see it is because registration hasn't actually started yet. So once registration starts, which I believe is Friday. Then you'll see the link.
Will the answer for the questions during the battle be in the form of 1 point for the author and 1 point for the title? We let you know.
Okay. When will we have more meetings like this? Because this one has been so much fun. We're going to do this again. Our next meeting will be the coaches meeting. So that is it's Monday, November 16th. So that will be again at 7 p.m. It will be a similar format. We will also be recording it. So if you're not able to make that meeting, you'll be able to watch it.
Are there any specific rules for Bob that we have? Have fun.
Yes.
Be enthusiastic and supportive of your teams. Make sure that they get together and in whatever format, like we've already discussed, but have fun.
We were redistricted and have not met any new kids in person. How do we suggest that we find other students to be on a team? That's a good question. That's a tough question. What I would suggest is maybe reaching out to your child's teacher and or the media specialist, and they would be able to help. They should be able to help you get in touch with other students looking for a team. A great time to meet friends, meet new friends, and also they might not have met anybody else in person, but I'm sure you're seeing them virtually, so that might help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Please remember your media specialists are a great resource.
Yes.
Do we get to keep the books? Yes, you do.
If we don't have any more questions, can we leave? Yes, you can. Thank you for
may.
sticking with us.
We have some thank yous. Thank you back. Is there an average length of the books, page numbers or chapters? Is there a set recommended number of pages or chapters we should be covering weekly? The books vary. So that, again, that's up to you.
Yeah, there are totally different lengths of the books. So don't worry about that. Okay. Does every student
we talked about that next one too.
Need to be at least partially knowledgeable about every single book, or is it advised that students take 1 or 2 books to make the memorization easier? Again, it depends on your students. Years ago when my daughter participated, she had a few friends on her team who read every single book, probably more than once. My daughter was not one of them. She had certain books that she was in charge of, and she read those books and she was knowledgeable about those books. In discussion with her team, she learned a little bit about the other books, and she might have read 1 or 2 of the other books. So you want to have some kind of passing knowledge about the book, at least know the title and the author and maybe generally what it's about, but you could definitely be experts. They can be experts on different books.
What are some ways we can encourage students safely and virtually without overstepping bounds, but still seeming engaging? Communication with parents is important, of course, but are there any tried and true methods? That's a great question to ask. Maybe ask your media specialist, maybe, and your media specialist might be able to direct you to other parents who have been coaches. I guess you'll get a sense from your students whether they feel like you're overstepping, I suppose. Of course, they all need, especially in these times, they need encouragement. I don't know. You're just gonna have to. I hate to say it, but I feel like you just kind of have to feel that one out. Um,
And it's really hard because this is such a different situation than we've had before. So you're going to have to use some, you are going to have to use some creativity. And if you can, and I know sometimes it's hard reaching out to all the parents because, but you know, check in with the parents and see if you can come up with a plan together. That might help as well. Should coaches read alongside the students or trust students to work problems out on their own with assistance from peers? So it's a good idea to read the books as well, or at least spread the books out amongst the other adults, just so you do have a general idea of what's going on.
what if you miss a meeting? So if this is a coach missing a meeting, please let us know. Or if you have an assistant coach, maybe that person can come in your place. If this is a student who's asking about missing a team meeting, that's between you and your coach.
And our meetings are going to be recorded, so you'll have that as well.
Yeah.
Is it acceptable for a parent or co-coach to pick up the books? Yes, just make arrangements who's going to pick up the books, because we are going to hand it to the first person who says that they're with the team. And we'll just check, we'll just mark off that they have picked up the books. So as long as you can identify your team and your school, you'll be good to go. That's fine. And as far as the correct ISBNs, the list will, if we don't have it up, it will be up, but there is going to be a PDF of the book list, and that PDF of the book list actually has the ISBN for each book. If you go back to the library market listing for this meeting, it will actually, that PDF is right there, and you can certainly download that, and that will have the correct ISBN.
All right, I think we made it through all of our questions.
Oh my gosh, woohoo!
So thank you all for coming tonight. And again, we are doing the best we can in these times. We do have an FAQ page. However, I don't know that it has been updated yet for this year. So my guess is that it's probably a lot of previous year's information. So however, we will be updating that. Just give us a little bit of time and grace as we navigate to this new environment. So,
And
all right.
in the past, we've had a coach's handbook, and that will be up closer to the coaches meeting in November.
Right. So, all right. Thank you all. Yes, someone
thank
says, can we leave? Yes, you may. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.